What is up, gamers? The Red Dragon here, and we are covering the top stories on VGM. So, a lot of people are now playing their PlayStation 4, and categorically speaking, the vast majority of players are playing their PlayStation 4 and having no issues whatsoever as far as the hardware is concerned. They're enjoying their console, they're enjoying playing their games. But there is a growing number of people who are claiming that they are having problems with their PlayStation 4. Now, some people are saying that this story is being over-reported, and some people are saying that it's being under-reported. So I'm just going to tell you what we know thus far. So before the PlayStation 4 launched, Sony announced that they were expecting or had heard about 0.4% of the consoles having failures, or that's what they were anticipating maybe. But this number is being constantly repeated and thrown out there as if it is fact that that is how many faulty consoles are out there in the open. And I first want to start off by saying I wouldn't put much emphasis or focus on this 0.4% because it really doesn't mean a whole lot, at least to me, since the number was released before the actual launch of PlayStation 4. So, since the launch, there's no way to have a clear understanding of how many faulty units are actually out in the open. What we do know is that over 1 million consoles have been sold, and we do know that electronics have a failure rate. There are some products that are going to fail and aren't going to work. The question is, how widespread is the problem and how many people are actually having this issue? So Sony has come out and said that the issues have been isolated and that there haven't been very many. The mainstream media, they kind of go back and forth. It seems like right now most of them are kind of underplaying this, saying that if you look at a lot of the reviews, many of them appear to be trolls, so it's just impossible to determine how many faulty units are out there. Of course, anybody can go make a forum account and go make a post saying that they're having issues with their PlayStation, and you cannot verify that. They could be totally trolling you. But one indicator that I think is somewhat significant is the Amazon reviews that have verified purchasers on it who have written a review. So if you go over to Amazon, you can look and you can read reviews of people, and some of those people will have verified Amazon customer, which means they purchased their PlayStation 4 through Amazon. Now, at the time I started researching this video, I went through the Amazon reviews, and there were currently 550 comments that were posted that were 1-star ratings from people who said that their console was either dead on arrival or that it ended up dying a few days after release. So I wanted to know how many of these could possibly be trolling comments. You have 550 ratings. How many of those could possibly be trolls? So I went through and I took 10 minutes to do apparently what no other journalists did whenever they were writing their research. And I found that 376 out of those 550 were from verified customers, meaning those were people who actually had purchased a device, got home, and it didn't work, and then they went and wrote a review. So it's safe to assume that many of the other reviews are probably trolls or could be trolls, but it's also very reasonable to assume that many of those other comments are not trolls because people do go to Amazon to rate or review their products whether they purchased it from Amazon or not. So a lot of people will look at that and they'll say that's probably statistically not important considering that you have 1 million PlayStation 4s out in the open and you have 376 people who have been verified who went and posted a review on Amazon. But here is the thing that I think is worrisome, at least from the outset. It's the fact that if you go look at and you look at other past launches of electronic devices, even on Amazon, you usually don't see this number of units that are faulty within the first few hours of release. And this isn't like this is the first electronic device that's expensive and has been mass-produced and sold within the first few hours. I mean, we've gone through tablets and the Nintendo Wii U and laptops and smartphones. So there's all these other devices. So you can kind of go through there and kind of see what other devices have went through as far as failure rates go. And I think that is probably one of the most alarming things, at least for me, whenever I look at this. Because here's the thing. I know a lot of people are not going to run to Amazon to post a review. In fact, I would say the majority of people will not go run to take a video of their broken console or go to take a picture to prove to you that their console is broken. Or they're not going to go join up several different forums in order to rage and scathe the console. Most people, if they have a broken console, they'll probably just take it back to the store and get a replacement. Or they'll call Sony support and handle everything else offline. So this 0.4% number, I would say that is probably not reliable. Only Sony knows the real number of failures. And it isn't like they are required to tell you how many are failing. Microsoft, it took them months to come around to admit that there was a red ring of death error on the Xbox 360. Now, part of that is that a lot of those Xbox 360s didn't break until months later after release. It wasn't like they were coming in, many of them broken, right after the initial launch. It took months for a lot of those to break down. So here's what I think is important. There's no way for us to know how widespread this problem is because we expect there to be problems, at least on some sort of scale. I wouldn't cancel my pre-order of PlayStation 4 if I lived somewhere else, like in Europe. I would say the odds are in your favor that you're going to get a console that is working. But at the same time, I don't think the gaming industry or anybody else should totally ignore this story. There is potentially a problem, and these people also have a story to be told because they did the same thing that many other people did, and they went out, they pre-ordered their console, they've been waiting for weeks. Some of them probably took a vacation or a few days off in order to play their console, and then it ended up that instead of playing the console, they were on the phone for a couple of hours with customer support waiting on a replacement. Considering that there are hundreds of verified buyers who are reporting this on Amazon, I would say that it's a reasonable and educated guess that there are thousands in circulation of PlayStation 4s that are having issues. And that number may sound large, but again, whenever you're talking about 1 million consoles, 1,000 may not be that many at all. But I think what's important to know is just being informed. There is something to keep an eye on here. And if there was a problem and you went home, say for instance that a parent went and got this console, they take it home, they wrap it up, and they're going to put it under the tree for Christmas, and they didn't test it out. I think this information is important because at least if those people know, hey, at least pull out the console, plug it in, run it for a couple hours, make sure it's going to be okay. That way you're not disappointed on Christmas Day. Information is power. It doesn't mean that you have a bricked console. It doesn't mean that the majority of people are going to be bricked, but these people would at least have peace of mind that whenever they wake up on Christmas, they're going to have a console that their kids can play on. Overreacting on the issue doesn't solve anything, but also completely ignoring the issue is not going to make it go away. And, there's other videos that are popping out there. I just watched a tech guy who got his PlayStation 4, took it apart, and he said the thermal pasting was already hardening on his console. And so he was adding more thermal paste to his. I'll leave a link in the description box so you can go see for yourself if you think this guy looks like a troll who just opened up a PlayStation 4 and who did this on purpose. Or, do you think that 400 trolls got on Amazon and purchased a console to go write a bad review about it? That doesn't make sense. These people have a story to be told as well. It may not be the top story or should be the top story, but it definitely is a story. And here's what else I can assure you, that if we wake up and there's 30-something pages of comments from verified buyers on the Xbox One and their systems are failing, then I'm going to report on that as well. News is simply information. It's not good or bad or right or wrong. It's just freaking what is happening out there in the world. And what we know is that there's 1 million consoles in circulation and thousands of people are having problems. And we don't know how widespread the issue is. It's not to bring about fear, it's not to make you go cancel your pre-order, it's not to make you go buy a console. It's just simply stating what is actually happening in the world. But post below, I want to know, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's overreported or underreported? That does it for me, The Red Dragon. Again, I'll leave links in the description box if you want to go read more about this. Sony has put out a very lengthy troubleshooting guide if you are having blue light problems that maybe will take care of your issues. I'll leave all that again in the description box. Stay right here to this channel and to VGM for your latest news and gaming information. Thanks for watching.